Let's go Dolphins! Something happened behind the scenes that could completely change the course of our season. We're talking about a financial change so strategic, so unexpected, that it has the entire fan base excited. And no, it's not just another routine restructuring. This one has deeper implications, and I'm here to explain exactly why. The front office may finally be waking up, but don't get too complacent, because with Chris Grier still in charge, anything can happen. He should have already left, but for some reason, he's still lurking. And yet, despite this, someone in the organization just pulled off one of the smartest salary cap reduction maneuvers we've seen in years. This isn't an exaggeration. It's real. So stick with me, because I'll break it down and show you how an unexpected trade could be paving the way for a major move, perhaps even a game-changing addition to the roster. But before we begin, enjoy if you're a true Dolphins fan and are tired of seeing this team fail year after year. And if you've stuck with this team through thick and thin, I want you to say right now, go Dolphins! My heart bleeds teal and orange. Now, let's get straight to the heart of this explosive update. The Miami Dolphins have pulled off a surprise move involving none other than star safety Minka Fitzpatrick. This wasn't just a minor adjustment, it's a restructured deal that completely shifts how the Dolphins manage their cap space. And if you thought this was going to be a quiet offseason, think again. Here's what happened. Minka Fitzpatrick, who recently hired Drew Rosenhaus as his new agent, just inked a revised contract with Miami. It's not an extension, not a rework in the traditional sense, but a revision. And it's a genius move for the Dolphins front office when it comes to salary cap management. Fitzpatrick gets a $2 million raise this year, bumping his 2025 salary to $17.5 million and 2027 to $15.6 million. That's a lot of money being shuffled around, but it's all about strategy. So what does this mean for the cap? The Dolphins clear out an impressive $11 million in cap space this year alone. They basically turned $16.245 million into a signing bonus for Fitzpatrick, securing that chunk of money for him immediately while giving themselves flexibility on the books. No additional years were tacked onto the deal. No back-end cap chaos. Just pure cap space liberation. This is the type of move that could signal a pivot in Miami's financial planning. Minka's revised contract was not just about keeping a key piece of the secondary happy, it was a domino move. And you can bet that the next domino is already wobbling. With Fitzpatrick's deal done, the focus now turns to Zach Sealer. And it's no coincidence that Drew Rosenhaus represents both players. The idea here is to do something nearly identical with Sealer, guarantee him a solid chunk of money now, convert it into a signing bonus, and boom, free up even more cap space. We're talking potentially clearing close to $20 million in total when all is said and done. And here's the thing, this money isn't just sitting there to look pretty. The Dolphins are almost certainly lining up to bring in more help at cornerback. With two players already going down due to injury and no updates on Kader Code just yet, there's urgency. And Mike Hilton's situation remains unresolved, so this newfound flexibility could be the key to locking him in. This kind of financial maneuvering has the fingerprints of Brandon Shore all over it. While Chris Grier still somehow has a job, it's Shore who's likely pulling the strings on this kind of contract structuring. And credit where it's due, this is smart business. Minka gets his guaranteed money, the Dolphins get cap space, and everyone walks away with more security heading into the season. But this is only the beginning, because once this money is freed up, the front office has decisions to make. Are they going to use that space to solidify the roster with proven veterans, or will they fumble the opportunity like we've seen before? Will they give McDaniel the reinforcements he needs to truly make a Super Bowl run? There's no more room for error. The time to strike is now. And with Rosenhaus in the building, you know he's going to push hard to get Sealer paid next. And that could set the stage for even bigger moves down the line. But will the Dolphins capitalize on this momentum, or will they let it slip through their fingers yet again? Because here's where it gets even more intriguing. With the restructuring of Minka Fitzpatrick's contract and the strong likelihood of Zach Sealer being next, Miami is slowly positioning itself not just for financial flexibility, but for aggressive midseason moves. And when you're chasing a championship, those moves are everything. Let's be clear, $20 million in potential cap space is not just about bringing in another corner. This is about giving Mike McDaniel the kind of dynamic reinforcements that can change the course of the season. But let's not forget, while this front office has pulled off a few smart maneuvers, largely credited to Brandon Shore, there's still a lingering concern among fans that Chris Grier will find a way to squander this opportunity. Dolphins Nation hasn't forgotten the questionable contracts, the missed picks, or the underwhelming returns on high-value assets. So even with all this space, we're all holding our breath, waiting to see if it's going to be used the right way. And now let's talk about the implications on the field. Minka Fitzpatrick's adjustment signals something else. It sends a message to the locker room. It says, if you're a key piece and you play ball with the organization, we'll take care of you. That kind of morale booster is powerful, and Fitzpatrick just showed yesterday that he's still a playmaker with that timely interception in practice. So he's not just getting paid, he's producing, and that's critical. What about Kader Kohou? There's still no concrete update on his status, but with cornerbacks dropping like flies and the season inching closer, this is the kind of situation that demands urgency. The Dolphins simply cannot afford to go into the season with a compromised secondary. If Kohou can't go, if another starter goes down, this defense is in trouble. And we all know what happens to McDaniel's high-flying offense when the defense can't hold its ground. It collapses. This is why the next few days are pivotal. The clock is ticking, and fans are watching. Is Mike Hilton the answer at corner? That depends on what he's asking for, and if the Dolphins are ready to meet it. But with this cap space clearing, that deal now looks more plausible than ever. Hilton brings experience, toughness, and most importantly, reliability. He's not a flashy signing, but he's the kind of veteran presence that can stabilize a shaky secondary. And right now, that's exactly what Miami needs. And beyond Hilton, don't rule out another surprise signing. We've seen this front office pivot quickly before. 1 minute there's no money, the next minute we're clearing $11 million out of thin air. Moves like these tell us that the Dolphins aren't just planning to stand pat, they're gearing up for something. The big question is what and when. And let's revisit this. Drew Rosenhaus. This guy isn't sitting in meetings for fun. He's got Fitzpatrick done, Sealer likely next, and then what? Could this be the setup for even more contract maneuvers? Are we going to see Miami lock down other key pieces early to avoid distractions mid-season? It wouldn't be the worst idea. Stability on the roster translates to consistency on the field, and the Dolphins need both if they're serious about contending. This cap flexibility also offers insurance against injuries, underperformance, or even trade opportunities. Imagine a scenario where a top-tier player becomes available at the deadline. Before this move, Miami couldn't even pick up the phone. Now, they can entertain real conversations. That's how contenders are built, by staying nimble, ready to pounce when the opportunity arises. So, Dolphins fans, we're at a crossroads. Fitzpatrick's revised deal is more than just a financial shuffle. It's a statement, a calculated risk that clears the path for more. But where that path leads remains to be seen. Will they land Hilton? Will Sealer's deal be done next? Will this team finally break the cycle of mediocrity and take a real shot at the Super Bowl? One thing's for sure, the front office has opened the door. Now it's up to them to walk through it. And while we're diving deeper into this, let's not overlook how this type of contract restructuring can ripple through the entire roster. When a respected player like Minka Fitzpatrick agrees to a revised deal that benefits both sides, it sets a precedent. Younger players and veterans alike take notice. It communicates that the team is willing to reward performance, maintain flexibility, and still show loyalty. That matters in the locker room. It builds trust between the players and the front office, something that has been sorely missing at times under Chris Grier's reign. And while fans remain skeptical of Grier, the presence of Brandon Shore and his calculated moves offers a glimmer of hope that, at least financially, the team is finally operating with purpose. But let's not stop there. There's a strategic layer to this. Freeing up space now allows the Dolphins to stay ahead of the curve. If training camp injuries pile up, or if certain players don't perform up to expectations, Miami now has the financial ammunition to pivot fast. Imagine being one of the few contenders in the league with cap room and a competitive roster mid-season. This is how you get that final missing piece. Fitzpatrick's deal could end up being the spark that ignites a chain of moves, transforming the Dolphins from playoff hopefuls to legitimate contenders. But will they seize that opportunity or waste it?